Welcome, tiny business owners, to another web content creation tip. My name is Russ Henneberry with Tiny Business Mighty Profits. Today's web content creation tip is: what is the duplicate content penalty and how can I avoid it? Let's take a look at some websites here. We've got three different insurance agencies here. One is AG Insurance, we've got DeCarlo, Levine and Friedman, and we've got Tomy Insurance. Each one is a separate business on a separate domain. However, each one used a very similar web designer, and so you can kind of see that each one of these sites, even though it has a little bit different look, was sort of built by the same web designer, which is fine to have somewhat similar look. What is not fine is to have very similar or exact verbatim web content or text on the website. So if we take a look at the personal page on AG Insurance, we can see the content, whether it's coverage for your home auto valuables. Our goal is to protect you. This is the text content that Google is indexing to determine what the website is about. Well, if we go over to DeCarlo, Levine, and Friedman, you're going to see that on the personal page, we've got the exact same content, whether it's coverage for your home auto valuables. Our goal is to protect. It's the exact verbatim content. And if we go over to Tomy Insurance and we click on personal, we get yet again another version of the exact verbatim content that appears on all of these other websites. This is pretty much a disaster when it comes to search engine optimization and your chances of becoming of drawing any kind of traffic from a search engine is pretty much eliminated when you find out that the content on your website is a duplicate of not just these other two websites, but there are actually several hundred websites that are using this exact content, because this web design company is in the business of making insurance web designs, and they've sold hundreds of these, and they use the same content for all. It sounds great as a business owner when somebody can tell you that, oh, you need web content for your website, just take this and use it. We already wrote it. Or it sounds great to, instead of writing a blog post, to just grab something from usatoday.com or NewYorkTimes.com, or to grab something from your competitor and just sort of reword it a little bit, or use some kind of syndicated content that's free and you don't have to write it. Google uses what's called the duplicate content filter, which is, some people call it a penalty. It's not so much a penalty as it is a filter, and it's going to find one version of the content, and it's going to filter out every other version of the content, simply because it doesn't want multiple copies of the same content in its index. It's a bad experience for their customer when they find the same content in the Google search results over and over again. So Google is in the business of making a good experience for its customer, the searcher, and what it does is, if it finds multiple copies of the same content, or even very similar copies of the same content, it is going to filter out that content. Now, they choose, if someone is stealing your content, there are several different factors as to what they choose to be that one version that they are going to keep. And generally, if the content is found on your website first, that's a good sign that you're going to end up being chosen as that version of the content is yours. if people are if the content links back to your original piece, you're going to generally end up retaining, being the Google index for that content. If your site is extremely powerful versus the sites that are stealing the content, you have a good chance of becoming, the version for that content. But bottom line is that if you are, using content that is a duplicate of other pieces of content on the web, it's not going to work, and it is simply going to get filtered out. So how do you avoid the duplicate content penalty? It's pretty simple to say and hard to do, but that is build fresh, unique content. Write it yourself. Use your voice, and don't copy other people's content, and ensure that you don't have you're not using some content that has multiple versions out there on the web. One of the ways to check is to use a tool called Copyscape.com. And let's just put this page into Copyscape. This is the DLF, DeCarlo, Levine, and Friedman version. And we'll put this page into Copyscape, and it's going to go ahead and search and scan the web. And you can see all of the different insurance companies that are using this same exact content. IMELI Insurance, IMELI Insurance, GWW Insurance, Seagrove Agency, Carpenter Insurance, and these aren't even the ones that we found that are up here, like Tomy and AG Insurance. So that's it. That's another web content creation tip from Tiny Business Mighty Profits. My name's Russ Henneberry, and thank you for joining me.